What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of The Block is Hot. Today is Mystery Wednesday, which means we are going over something random in the crypto world. Now, the topic of this Wednesday are these helium miners. In this video, I'm going to quickly go over what they are. I'm going to go over how much money these are making me each month, and I'm also going to tell you guys whether or not I think this is a good investment. But without further ado, let's get into it. So what exactly is helium, and what is a helium miner? Well, you guys may have heard of this project before, but helium is the 46th largest cryptocurrency project, and they actually have their own blockchain. Now, what Helium is trying to do is actually super cool. They're trying to build a decentralized mesh internet network for the world. So that miner I just showed you guys was a Bobcat helium miner, and there's all these different brands, but basically you get those helium miners in and you plug them into the wall and you set up the antenna to make sure it has a good signal. And now all of a sudden, those antennas and those miners are all communicating with each other. So as you see here, guys, there's 596,000 in the world right now, and they're all over the country. And basically, they're all just connecting to each other and providing internet. So think of like Lime scooters, or there's all these different companies or different smart devices that need to be connected to the internet. Now they're able to use these 5G hotspots from Helium, and Helium makes money from charging them for that service. And the way we make money as helium miners is through these helium rewards. The rewards given out are based on a couple different factors, but the two main factors is how many other miners are in that area, as well as how many devices are actually using that internet service. So for example, guys, if you don't have a lot of miners in your area, then it can't really create a mesh network, so you're not going to get paid as much. But if you have too many miners in your area, then there is too much supply basically and not enough demand, and you're not going to get paid as much. If you're in a city, for example, maybe there are a ton of different Lime scooters that need to be connected to the internet. So you're going to get paid more for that than having it in some random country place that might not have a lot of devices that can actually use this sort of thing. In this situation, you can click on any helium miner in the entire country. So for example, I can click on this section right here. There are 3 sections in this block. I can then click on Wonderful Tan Cricket, which is just one of them. And what's cool is it's going to show you how much helium it's been making. So this one I think has been offline for a while, but over the past 30 days, it has made 2.6 helium and $57. And you can see here, guys, that antenna is able to reach all of these different people on this map. So the more people it reaches, the more people it bounces off of, the more money you're going to get. But for example, if you're in a spot that has 20 helium miners, the average person in a spot like this isn't going to make nearly as much. Look, guys, most of them are under a helium for the entire 30 days. The reason is because now there's too much oversaturation in that area. So you really want to be in an area that has helium miners there, but doesn't have a ton of helium miners yet, because you want it to connect to stuff, but you don't want to connect it to too much stuff and there be too many, right? So it's a very interesting thing. I actually got into helium mining over 8-9 months ago, and before that, I had actually bought them and they took 4 months to ship to me. So I've been in this for a while, and I'm about to break down how much money this has personally made me and how much money this is making me today. I personally have 3 different helium miners. One is at my house, and then 2 of the other miners are at my friends' places. Now, I really wanted to show you guys the actual numbers on the site, but I didn't want everyone to know where I lived and where my friends lived, so I didn't. Now, there's a couple of things that you guys have to realize. One, the helium price has a big impact on this. You are making your money and your rewards in helium, and helium is really down right now. The whole crypto market in general is down right now. So these numbers are actually lower than the average that I have been getting. The other thing that you guys have to realize is that there are 600,000 helium miners on the network, and there are a lot being added every day. Now, the big thing is that there used to be 5 million helium tokens per month that were rewarded to these miners. So you got to think the max amount of tokens is 5 million. So the more miners you have, the lower the share that you're going to get on average. Now, what happened is that on the 1st of August of last year, they actually cut that in half to 2.5 million. Now, this is really important because this is going to help with emissions. I'm personally very bullish on the long-term price of helium because I know that every 2 years, the amount of helium that is going into circulation is going to get cut in half. So as long as demand, goes up a little bit, the price should go up as well. That's why I'm personally not selling any of these these helium rewards that I'm getting right now. Helium miner number 1 got 5.485 helium this month, and that was $120.67, or about $4.02 a day of profit. The great thing about these miners too is that it uses the same electricity amount as just a light bulb, so your electricity costs are very, very minimal when compared to, regular traditional miners. The second miner made 4.485, yes I know, 4.485 again, and that was about $98, or about $3.29 a day. And then the last miner made 5.176, or about $113.87, which equates to $3.80 a day. That might not sound like a lot of money, but I only paid $450 for these miners, and there's actually cheaper miners out there. So the return on my investment on this is actually anywhere from 111 days to 136 days, which is really great. You also still have your helium miner, which you can sell on the secondary market that I'm about to go over, and that's also assuming that helium is $22. Like, helium at one point was all the way at $50, guys. So just imagine if that helium was at $50 instead. Now all of a sudden my return on my investment is half the time. So instead of 111 days, maybe it's only 50, 60 days for me to make my money back on this. The really awesome thing about this, guys, is you still have your helium miner. So for example, on eBay, a lot of these helium miners are still going for $700, $750 used, which is just insane. So in my situation, I was able to get 3 of these helium miners for $450 each. Yes, it took 4 months to get in, but I've been able to mine with it for 7-8 months now. I've been making hundreds of dollars a month. Like, this is actually the lowest amount of money I've ever made on my helium miners because of helium price and the amount of miners in the network. But then on top of making all that money, I can sell these helium miners for more than what I paid for it. It's absolutely insane because people can't get their hands on these miners. Now, even though this has been a really great investment for me, it might be too late for some people to get into this, and here's why. These helium miners are backed up like 4 or 5 months at least. It's going to take you a very long time to get it. The better strategy would, if you were trying to get into this, just pay double and get one brand new off of eBay. I wouldn't buy one used because they're going to have to transfer ownership and you can't always trust people. But if you were to get into this, you would be getting in at around $800, $900. You also have to think that as more of these helium miners that are back ordered get delivered, then the rewards are going to go down just because there's going to be more on the network. You also got to think that once supply catches up as well, that the secondary market for these might not do as well either. Like right now, I could sell my miners for $700, $800 at least, but then who knows, maybe in a couple months when more miners come into circulation, all of a sudden it's only worth $400, or maybe it's worth less than what I paid for it, right? The biggest piece of advice that I can give you guys if you are looking into buying one or if you're interested is, one, check first to see what your area is doing. On the Helium Explorer app, which you can easily Google, you can look on the map and go to the area that you live in, and you can click on a plot, right? So I just clicked on this area. That 9 means there's 9 miners there, and I can see how much people are making. On average, they're making anywhere from 0.32 to about 3.84. So you have to keep in mind that these numbers are going to change over time as more miners get into your area and as more miners enter this ecosystem. So if your area checks out, then I would also make sure that you have a backup area just in case something happens. So, if you have a buddy's house, check his area, because worst case scenario, if your area starts doing poorly, you at least have a backup area. The other thing I would do is, if you are going to invest in this, I would not wait 4 to 5 months and buy it on their main website. I would go on eBay and I'd look up these helium miners that are in hand. Get it brand new, don't get it used. If it's used, they have to transfer ownership and you can't trust that they're going to do that. But I would buy a brand new one. Bobcat is really good. There's SenseCap. There are honestly a ton of different helium miners out there. So I would just see what the best price is for one that has a good reputation. The other thing I want to point out here, guys, is if you see over here, this is the antenna. It comes with it. A lot of these helium miners come with a very small antenna. If you have a helium miner that's not performing well, or if you decide to buy one of these, I would highly recommend getting a different antenna. You can get fiberglass antennas with different dBi depending on your situation that are going to be way better performers. So for example, that the fiberglass one I just showed you was making me twice as much helium as the one that came with this. So it's definitely worth, spending an extra $40. Do your research on the different antennas though. Like for example, this is a 5.8 dBi. There is 8 dBi. There is 3 dBi. All of these DBIs have a different way of sending the signal out, and there are pros and cons depending on what your geography is and where you're located. That pretty much sums up today's video though, guys. Helium miners are super cool, and it's been a very profitable investment for me, and it's literally the easiest passive income that I can imagine. I literally just had to plug it in, set up the antenna, and go on the Helium app and get it set up. And it's cool to know that not only have I made all this money from it, but I could literally sell it right now for double than what I paid for it all of these months later. I think Helium is a super cool project. I think this coin is going to go up a lot over time. And if you are investing in this, just think long term. The amount of supply is going to be halved every single 2 years, very similar to what Bitcoin did. And you saw what happened to the price of Bitcoin. So I really think that this could be a very good long-term investment if your area checks out. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and I hope everyone here has an awesome day.